I just don't understand. How could they just kill a random person?
Well, hello, Scout. How's the case coming?
Not good, Atticus. I've been working nonstop and have only determined that the victim was killed with blunt force trauma to the head.
Well, do you have any suspects?
Boy, do I. I have 5 total. They were all in the vicinity when the victim was killed.
Why don't you describe the scene of the murder for me? Can you do that? Tell me how everything was when you got there.
The victim was the widely known Mr. Body, who was out to a picnic, according to his wife. When I arrived at the scene, it was already too late for him. From the blood, it was easy to gather how he'd been killed. Blunt force trauma to the head. The clues were scattered around him and would become key parts in my investigation of Mr. Body's murder. The first bit of evidence was the apple left at the scene. DNA testing would provide the owner of the bite and a potential suspect. The root beer bottle, a suitable murder weapon, was also present. It would need to be tested for prints. And lastly, the playing cards. It appeared that Mr. Body had met with several suspects, but one of them had wanted him dead, and it was up to me to uncover the truth and to serve justice.
Suspects? Well, I have a few. All of the suspects have some ties to the victim and were in the area around the time that he was murdered.
Ms. Finch, are the results of the fingerprint scan and DNA test requested? Thanks.
Well, this confirms my suspects. They're definitely involved. Well, the first suspect's name is Eve. She's just a small-town girl who doesn't seem to know a thing about right and wrong, and her DNA was found on the apple. Then there's this fellow named Billy Pilgrim who, according to all the sources around town, is the only one who reads anything by Kilgore Trout. Finally, with these fingerprint results in hand, I can surely say that the last 2 suspects are a woman who goes by the name of Miss Marie and a fellow from California named George Milton. Miss Marie's fingerprints were found on that root beer bottle, and Mr. Milton's were found on these playing cards. I guess all that's left to do now is interview them.
Okay, well, I'll leave you to it. Good luck, Scout. If anyone can do it, I know it'll be you.
Ms. Finch, the first suspect's here to see you.
Eve, I think you know why I've called you here today. You're well known for the apple incident from a while back, are you not?
I am, but I still don't understand what I'm doing here. As you said, Miss Finch, that was a long time ago.
Are you aware that there was a murder committed earlier today? You should know, as you were in the vicinity at the time of the crime. There was an apple found at the scene, and to be frank, it doesn't look good for you. So tell me, what's your side of the story?
I don't know what you're talking about. I was with Adam all morning.
Oh, really? Because I seem to recall it being Adam who told us that you were in the park this morning. Now I want to know, how were you connected with Mr. Body?
I was at the park this morning, but I didn't kill anyone. The only thing that I'm guilty of is the littering. I was eating an apple and decided to leave it on the ground because I couldn't find a trash can. And they're biodegradable, so it wasn't like I was hurting the earth. Please, that's it. That's why the apple was there.
Likely story, Eve, but that doesn't clear your name from my list. Take Eve away and bring me the next suspect.
Please, I didn't do it. I'm a creation of God. I wouldn't hurt anybody.
Ms. Finch, Mr. Pilgrim will be in a moment. Seems to be on another planet right now.
Hello, Billy. Do you know why you're here?
No, ma'am, but I assume you're going to tell me. Hope it won't be long. I've got a book I need to get back to.
Then I'll keep this short. We'll both tell the truth and this will go quickly, all right? I'll start. There was a man murdered in the park this morning, and I know that you were in the area. But before we get to that, I've heard that you read books by Kilgore Trout. Is that correct?
I'm reading one of his novels now. I do enjoy him as a writer, and I've got to ask, ma'am, are you saying that connects me to the murder? Like a suspect?
Frankly, Billy, since we're telling the truth here, I should tell you that there was a book by Kilgore Trout lying by the victim at the scene of the crime. Do you want to tell me how it got there?
I lent one of my friends a copy of that book earlier. I don't usually lend my books out, so I guess that means your victim is old Body.
You know the victim, why aren't you sad?
He isn't really dead. He's gone in this present moment, but he's alive in every moment before this one.
You realize that not showing emotion to death is a telltale sign of being guilty, right?
Well, I'm not guilty. We made a deal at the beginning, remember? About telling the truth? That's what I'm doing. You can say what you want, ma'am, but I know my friend isn't dead. That's the sort of thing you learn from the trial Amadorians.
Okay, well, I still can't rule you out as a suspect, so we're going to have to detain you for the time being. Thank you, Mr. Pilgrim. You may go now.
So they agreed to meet us here?
Yeah, George is one tough fellow. But anyways, how are the interrogations going?
Well, all right, Atticus, except for that last one. Mr. Pilgrim reminds me of old Boo, Arthur Radley, that is, sir. They're both a little bit strange, Atticus, but it seemed like Mr. Pilgrim doesn't feel any remorse over Mr. Body's death, even though he was his friend. And then there's the fact that he served in the war. That means he knows how to kill someone. And of course, he was seen in the area by several witnesses during the time that the murder took place.
Well, the clues do seem to point to him. But Scout, you must remember to avoid bias. Stand in his shoes for a moment, would you? Or stand in his skin. Don't be misguided by the obvious. I've taught you that. If you use your head, I'm sure that you'll be able to find the truth. Speaking of, I'm sorry to add on to the bad news, but do you remember Miss Marie?
Yeah, she's the one I'm supposed to be meeting here with, right?
Well, we just got word that she left the country. The Canadian officials let her through an airport checkpoint before the authorities could be alerted. We were too late.
That's just great. Just when I need to make this case even harder to solve. I tell you what, Atticus, I don't know if I'm going to be able to solve this one.
Oh, I'm sure you'll figure it out, Scout. I'll go ahead and get George.
Hello, Mr. Milton. I guess you know why you're here.
Hell no, I don't. Is this gonna take long? I gotta get back to Lenny.
No worries, Mr. Milton. As long as you cooperate, this will be the fastest interview yet. Now, tell me where you were this morning.
Well, I was in the park this morning looking for bunnies. What does that have to do with anything?
Mr. Milton, there was a murder in the park.
What? I didn't see nothing.
You say that now, but we found playing cards with your fingerprints on them at the crime scene.
That can't be right. I wouldn't kill nobody.
George, look, no one wants to be accused of a crime, but your fingerprints were there and the evidence doesn't lie.
I swear someone must have planted them.
I'm sorry, Mr. Milton, but facts are facts. Now, if you just confess, we could get this whole process over a lot faster.
I ain't saying nothing. I'm innocent.
That's fine. We've got enough evidence to hold you for now. You can go ahead and go. Okay, well, first there was Eve. She lied about where she was. And then there was Billy, and then there was Miss Marie isn't here, and George, and the fingerprints and the DNA, and the blunt, and the bottle. Miss Marie isn't in the country anymore. And the bunnies. I know who it is! Eve, Billy, and George. You all know why I've gathered you here? And it's because I've figured out who the murderer is. It's you!